Good Sunday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing, looking at our impact map. Quite a few things going on. We do have precipitation again, bringing cooler, more moist conditions to the north. However, that same large storm system will be bringing increasing winds and not so moist conditions. Actually, some downslope drying downwind of some of the larger mountain ranges across Nevada and even into parts of Utah as we go through the early part of this week. And it'll be a major concern, especially along the Sierra front. In the past 24 hours, not much in the way of precipitation nor lightning, just some scattered amounts. Minimal fire activity yesterday, just a few new starts scattered about the area, nothing too large. We did have some larger fires from about 2 or 3 days ago. And looking at observed precipitation on the left, in the past 7 days, you can see the most significant amounts across a good portion of Utah into southeastern Nevada and into a good portion of Idaho and Wyoming, especially eastern and central Idaho. And looking at the past 14 days, similar conditions through there. Wet across a good portion of southern Nevada. So the pockets that were dry over the past 2 weeks are areas across northwestern Nevada and across far western Idaho too. Cooler conditions and some precipitation, but not significant amounts. Our ERCs are still hanging by a thread up in parts of our central mountains, especially the western areas where they're still in the 70th to 80th percentile, but they're on their way down. And as you'll see in the forecast, there's more precipitation on the way. Moistening everywhere except in the 50th to 70th percentile, where we see the yellow through here and even some oranges across parts of western Utah. But the drier, windier conditions will propel some finer fuels to be a bit more critical than what the ERCs might suggest. So if we look at the forecast 10-hour fuels for this afternoon, you can see that we have some very dry pockets, 3 to 4%. We see areas in the red and even in the pink, 5 to 6%. Still covers a good portion of the area where grass and brush remain the dominant feature. Here's a look at our satellite imagery, the upper level maps superimposed. There's deep low pressure now pushing down from the Gulf of Alaska. This will be bringing increasing moisture from the Pacific Northwest into our northern and central areas. But across parts of the Sierra front and into parts of western Utah, it will bring increasing winds. So for today, we see a deep low pressure moving out of the Gulf of Alaska, swath of moisture in the deep green across the Pacific Northwest into the northern Rockies. It'll be on the southern edge of this tight wind field, though, that we do have concerns. Fuels today still not critical as far as we can see on the ERC side. If we look at winds, they're picking up to our north. Not so much. A little bit across the Sierra front. You see the humidity is getting down to the mid-teens, low teens across parts of Nevada, a bit higher as you head further north and east. Now for Monday, low pressure deepens. Lots of moisture across the Pacific Northwest, now pushing into a good chunk of Idaho. It is south of there, though, that we do see some significant concerns. We have dry air pushing in. Some downslope drying. That's going to produce a possible high risk for wind here across portions of northwestern, north central Nevada is where our main concern is. We can see the winds and how strong they are. Those purples are wind gusts over 40 miles per hour. Humidity in the 12 to 20% range in a lot of these areas, moistening to the north, but it's where that humidity is driest is where we do have that concern just for the daytime period. And then Tuesday, the storm system continues to spin and track a bit further to the east. Dry air punching into Nevada. We don't have high risk here anymore, but still some concerns with some of those winds. You can see that the winds diminish across Nevada, still pick up across parts of Utah. Humidity starts gradually coming up. Now, precipitation will be missing much of Nevada and Utah except for far northern areas, but it should be hitting a good portion of the central mountains of Idaho once again and into western Wyoming, so that's good news for them. Further down the road, still under the influence of that wind, actually more dry air pushing. And we'll have to watch this again for maybe a possible high risk in the middle of the week across the Sierra front on southwards, but more showers in effect for the north. As we enter Thursday, still under that low pressure area in northern areas. Our fuels do moisten up in most areas as we go through the end of the week, Friday and Saturday, as we still under that cool, moist, low pressure area. All fuels, even in western Nevada, turn green. Precipitation over the next 7 days, you can see that some stuff does get into the Sierra front just a little bit. Significant precipitation across our northern areas. And the 8 to 14 day outlook continues with cooler than normal temperatures, although not much wetness. We start drying out a bit in the long range outlook. This concludes our briefing. Have a great